That's true, yes.
All right, so through 2 weeks of spring practice, we asked Blake this the other day. Has there been anybody that's jumped out at you that has kind of been a pleasant surprise? I know you guys hate those questions, but on the surprise front, has anyone really kind of stepped up a little?
Well, yeah, it's surprises. Because you're really not surprised. Maybe you're hopeful, right? Yeah, but certainly, I think we mentioned it. Certainly, the way that John Ford has played has been, he's taken the step that we've expected him to take. I would say Jade Silvera, has taken a step. Really is a better player now than he was in December when we last saw him in New York. Even just seeing the new guys, what Peyton, Nelson, and Harvey have done as mid-year enrollees, because you really never really know with those guys. They're all competing at a pretty high level for just, being really in the second semester, 12th grade. So I would say that's been a pretty neat surprise.
You shift now kind of into preparation for the first scrimmage next week. What are you hoping that the guys accomplish, and how much does it change when you start getting into your first scrimmage?
Well, you're really still proceeding with your install, right? You're still building the offensive scheme. You're still building the defensive scheme and putting it all together. You will have enough at that point to be ready to go play a game. And what happens in the scrimmages now, you're going to find out what our guys really know, because the coaches will be off the field. It's going to be a game situation, and you don't have that sort of a little bit of the training wheels that you have when you're out here in a practice setting. So that's a big part of the scrimmage. But more than anything, what I want to see when we scrimmage is I want to see our style of play. Again, I don't imagine that our execution is going to be perfect. Of course, it couldn't the first time some of this stuff has been, debuted on that type of stage. But what I want to see is I want to see strain. I want to see toughness. I want to see guys that are playing as hard as they can play and look like they're having as much fun doing it as they possibly can. And if we get that, then we can certainly fix all the, the details and the schematic stuff.
Manny, a coach clinic day today. Can you talk about sort of what you hope to show these coaches, with your new staff and yourself as the head coach?
Yeah, it's great. We've not had a per se high school coaches clinic in the last couple of years, and we had a great turnout today. It looked like over about 200 guys. Had a chance to watch our practice. We changed where we practice a little bit. It was a little more of a demonstration practice. Showed them a lot of our individual drills, a lot of what we do, and let those guys have a chance to take notes and watch and bring things back to their teams. We're obviously so indebted to the high school coaches, especially down here in South Florida, who do more with less than anybody in America. So, anything we can do to try to show those guys how much we appreciate them is our pleasure. And then this afternoon we'll get in here and we'll get on the chalkboards and the opportunity to get Coach Enos and Coach Baker and Coach Feely and some of our new faces in front of these coaches and have them all go away with something they can make their teams better in the fall.
And in past years, you've had 1 versus 2s, not when you were the head coach, but they did 1 versus 2s in scrimmages, things like that. Are you a fan of 1 versus 1s for practices, 11 on 11?
In spring, generally, we've gone 1 versus 1.
And in the fall, you're going to do?
Fall is usually a different deal, and sometimes you can do, mix it up and do both. And to be quite honest, I don't even know who our 1s are, except for like a couple of guys, and who our 2s are. So there's a lot of different guys, going up a lot of different guys. What you do have to make sure is you will see guys at time on the 2 line that are going with the 2s that may be playing really well, but then the reason is because they're going against other 2s. And obviously during spring ball, to have your whole team built together, 2s are not, there's varying levels of experience and know what to do at that spot. So at times you do pop a guy up to the other group, just make sure you see him getting reps against a good player.
Manny, Rolling Stones announced that they canceled the concert. Thank you, April 20th. Would you ever consider or be in favor of bringing it to Hard Rock?
We knew that. Mick called a week ago and Keith, and they told us that they weren't going to do it. And we debated back and forth, and first of all, they were really sorry about that. But no, we're so far down the road going to Orlando, and to be quite honest, we really want to use that trip with the new staff as a dress rehearsal for the opener, to really get a feel of what it's going to be like getting up there in the same locker room, and just really, making that as close to a dress rehearsal as possible for August 24th.
One more question. Michael Irvin put on Instagram that he was tested for throat cancer, and just any comments on that, and how is young Michael doing, and the situation there? Yeah,
we reached out to Mike Sr. and we reached out to Mike Jr. and to let him know that we're there for both of them, because this is a family, and Mike Sr. was at our practice. He was at our first 2 practices, so we had a chance to see him. when one of us is ill, we all feel it in this family. So it is important for to me, all of our guys to know that anything that happens to them, that we're there behind them.
Michael II is still practicing, right?
He is, yes.
You're, okay.
Not sure how to segue, but you touched on Peyton a little bit. What are you seeing from him this spring, and encouraged by what you're seeing?
Jeremiah?
Yeah.
Well, number one, you see the skill set, which you liked him when you saw him in high school. But I think what's jumped out is a guy that's competitive. Because sometimes that's the hard part of just the tempo at practice and just getting out here and the high level of play and the guys he's going up against. And you see a guy that doesn't appear to be daunted by that. He feels like he fits right in. You wouldn't know that he was a freshman or a mid-year enrollee just by the way he carries himself and his demeanor.
And someone like him, do you have to remind him? You have a lot of other young guys, other than KJ, but inexperienced guys. Does he feel like he can be in that top group, and you're reminding him to compete that way?
One of the great things when our coaches don't know how old anybody is or what grade anybody's in, but they're learning who can play and who can't play. So one of the things we told all of our guys, and it is as much of a fresh start as you can ever have. Like I said, when the ball's in the air and there's someone going to catch it, it doesn't say freshman or senior on their side of their helmet. It just says, there's a U on the side of it. So I think a guy like Jeremiah, it's a great time to come in and be here.
Let's do two more, guys.
Manny, the guys have really, you mentioned strain, and the guys have totally adopted that. What does that mean to you? What does that, when you talk about strain, when they discuss strain, what does that mean that you want to see from them?
Well, you have to push your body to go harder than you even think is possible to go. That's what strain is. And if you think about it, if you put it in the context of the weight room, you don't ever get stronger unless you strain your muscles, right? That's the only way to grow. Okay, so we're not going to grow as a football team unless we strain. The only thing that makes you strain is lots of resistance, right? You have to have something to push against in order to strain, okay? Or you've got to push your body to the point you push your body, then that's where the growth happens, okay? And if we can learn how to do that, we'll be a much more mentally tough team. We'll be a much more physically tough team. We'll be a much more resilient team. And that's what. But you can't get that in October. That is a habit that has to be formed starting in January with Coach Feely in our weight room. And now the way we practice, the way we do everything in our program has to be. There's just one way to work.
Manny, how is Michael Irvin II doing? How's he doing?
He's doing really well. In fact, he might have been our highest graded tight end in our last practice. Strain, the word, because he shows on some plays, even playing without the ball in his hands, going and straining on a block on a perimeter running play, and those are the things that you can start to build a career around, So he's a guy that I'd say since when he first got here has made large improvements, and even coming back this spring is carrying himself in a different manner than he did even last fall.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you all so much.
Nice.